Right, what's up guys, welcome back to Matt Catches, and as you can see, I'm not coming from the fishing location today, I'm coming from my back garden. You guys requested this video, so I'm going to be doing an entire carp setup video, so let's get into it. Right, so the first thing I'd like to talk about is shelter. So I like to use the Aqua Fast and Light Mark II. I have it in camo, because I personally think that camo looks the best for shelters, no doubt about it. So the thing I love about the Aqua Fast and Light Mark II, it's an amazing piece of kit. It can't fault me. It's the second brolly that I've had. I used to have a little Witchwood 60-inch brolly, and to be honest, it wasn't very good. The Aqua beats it by far. There's nothing that I can fault on this brolly. It's got little like curve inside panels, keep the wind off you a bit, and that just keeps that bit of extra shelter around you. It's 55-inch, I'm pretty sure, and that fits my bed, which I have the Nash Indulgence. It fits it perfectly in there, and it's just an amazing brolly. It's really sturdy compared to some brollies on the market. They're really flimsy and floppy. The Aqua Fast and Light, it's rigid, and there's front poles that go with it as well, which are amazing. So I can't fault it one bit. So that's my shelter. The next thing is where I'm going to sleep. Right, so sleep system. What do I use? I'm sure you've heard me say it earlier in the video. I use a Nash Indulgence SS3. It's the best sleep system I've ever had, the comfiest night's sleep. There's nothing I can fault about it. Some of the key things about it are it's a 5-season, it's a bit windy there. It's got a 2-layer duvet, so you can take the first layer off, just unzip all the way around, that's completely removable, and that makes it 3-season underneath. Also, it's got spring-loaded feet. It has 5 legs on it altogether. It doesn't have one on the bottom end, but it has one on the top end. And they're spring-loaded, which makes it amazing for one-handed action when you're just trying to adjust the feet if you're in a rush. It's also waterproof, which makes it pair beautifully with my brolly. So if the rain's driving in, coming underneath my brolly, just the bed's waterproof, so it's not going to get soaked. It's got a lovely, thick, plump mattress. It's amazing. It's very comfortable. I pair that with a pillow. I don't have the Nash Indulgence pillow. I use my regular pillow from at home, and it just makes the night's sleep 10 times better. Definitely worth a try if you haven't already. So yeah, can't fault it one bit. It's an amazing sleep system. It's the first sleep system I've ever had, and it's the best one I've ever had. I used to have just a little Fox bed, and yeah, I decided to upgrade, and I don't regret it one bit. So the next thing we're going on to is how I get all my stuff from the car park, wherever I'm setting off, to the bank. It's my wheelbarrow. So let's get into it. The wheelbarrow. So the wheelbarrow I use is the Carp Porter Mark 1. It's a very old wheelbarrow. In fact, it was my dad's before I started using it, and he's been using it. It must have been 20 years now. It is getting worn a bit, but it's still going strong. It has a little hole in the bag where the bag's pressed up against the wheel, and over the years it's just worn through, so we're sticking a bit of sheet metal on there, and that'll get it sorted. It's very quick to put up. It's got a waterproof bag on underneath where I store your stuff. It's extendable. It fits everything I need. It may be a small barrow, but it fits all of my gear on, and I've done some massive walks with that. I think the furthest I walked was about 1.5 kilometers to get to the fishing lake with that. So I can't fault the barrow. It's amazing. It's been going all these years, and it's got many more years left. So I think the next thing we're going to go on to is my rod setup, rod pod and alarms. I know you guys have been waiting for it, so you'll see it in a second. Right, so I bet you're wondering what alarms I use. I use the ProLogic BAT Plus alarms. I brought them in a 3+1 configuration, which means you get 3 alarms and 1 receiver. The receiver has a 100-foot distance, which is perfect because you're never really supposed to leave your peg when you're fishing, and it just helps if you're further up the bank, you've just got that signal in case you didn't hear your alarms, you've got one going off in your bivvy as well. They also come with this amazing hard case, which I always keep them in and I take it everywhere with me because it keeps them all together. Even though they come with little rubber covers which you put over the alarms just to protect them a bit, I'd prefer to keep them in the case. It keeps them all together, plus I can keep my bobbins in there, and I know they're all together, I'm not going to lose them. Also, the alarms are 100% waterproof. They did get submerged in water once when it got flooded. I basically woke up in a lake. It's an amazing story. And they also have the settings on them. They've got 5 sensitivity settings, and they've got 7 volume settings, including a silent mode. They also have a night light on them. If you hold the power button, a little night light comes on so you can see where your alarms are at night. The receiver has a glow in the dark case, which is very handy if you're looking for it during the night and you've lost it. And that has 5 volume settings. So next up is my rod pod. The rod pod of my choice is a Sonic Vader X double rod pod. I've only had the double because I only fish with 2 rods, and if I was to fish with 3, I wouldn't have that on the same spot as them, so I'd put it on separate bank sticks to the side. This rod pod is an amazing rod pod. It's ultra light and ultra compact. It comes in a little fold up bag which you can store it all in, and the only downside to this rod pod is it is quite small. I use it with 10-foot rods. You could get away with 12-foot rods, but personally I'd stick with 10 foots. And also, it takes quite a while to put up. It comes in it must be about 15 little pieces. You screw all together, but once you've got the hang of it, you can just do it flawless. I know I can get it up in about 3 minutes now, but when I first had it, it took me about 10 minutes just to construct it all together. But it's an amazing rod pod. It's amazing build quality of a rod pod. So let's get on to my rods. Rods and reels, what do I use? Well, for my rods, I use 2 Nash Colt 3.5 pound test curve 10-foot rods. That was a mouthful. They're amazing rods. I've had them for about a year now, and they have an amazing action to them when you're playing fish. They have the backbone to reel in and control bigger fish, but also they have the agility to play the little fish. They're a stylish and sleek design, and they feel very minimalistic, but they feel very powerful at the same time. They have an abrasive handle, and they're just comfy to use. The reels that I paired them with are the Akuma AK 5000 bait runners, and they're amazing reels. For £30 a reel, I can't fault them each. They come with a 5-year warranty on them. They have a full metal spool and metal arm around the spool. They have a bait runner switch, and they have adjustable bait runner and the adjustable drag. They're very sleek, minimalistic, and the matte black colour matches up with the Nash Colts amazingly. And I just like to store my rods and reels in the Nash 2020 double 10-foot rod sleeve. So now we've been over that, let's get on to my tackle bag and what's inside. Right, it is currently 3 days later. Due to the great British weather, we've had rain upon rain upon rain. So I've got my tackle bag here, and I'm going to show you what's in it now. Apologies for the angle, this is the best angle I could get. So this is my tackle bag. It's a solar undercover camo, and in this big bit here, let's just open that up, there we go. In this main bit, this is where I keep the bulk of my tackle. So I have my cooker here, I've got my leads, tackle bag, I've got a tea towel, I've got a, what's this called, keep your rig safe I presume. I've got my catapult, I keep a PVA mesh thing, that's a spare stuff for the PVA mesh. Can of deodorant, never know when you might need that. A hat, in case it gets chilly. Mallet for pounding stuff into the ground. My tent pegs basically. I keep a set of wooden screw tent pegs in case I'm ever fishing off platforms. I keep my kettle here, just a little ESP kettle. I've got a Sun Blesser head torch. I've got the ProLogic battle arms, which we'll have just seen. I've got the Sun Blesser bivy light. It's very good, that, to be honest. Keep the Ridge Monkey. You've all seen that before. And a little 96 LED light. We'll go into that in a bit. Then in this right hand side pocket, it's my right. Don't know which side it is for you. I keep a spon. I keep my scales, a couple of spare tent pegs, and I keep the antibacterial, so I know where all that stuff is if I ever catch a fish and I'm in a rush. On the left hand side here, let's open this up. This is where I keep all my baits. I've got wafters, pop-ups, more pop-ups in there. I've got a spool of surface line to go on my reel in case fish are ever on top. I've got some enzyme gorg basically from my boilies. That's all in the pocket on the left, my left. So reach across to the front pocket. Oh, there we go. And as you can see, I keep my power bank. I have an Anker 20,000 mAh power bank. It's lasted me years and it's still going strong. I keep a toothpaste, toothbrush, roll of electrical tape because you never know when you might need to stick something back together. A little Fox windbreak just around my cooker if it's ever windy, and a handle to my kettle which just slots on top. And that is basically everything I keep in my tackle bag. I use the solar undercover tackle bag because it's nice and it's got a lot of room in it, but it's also low, which means when I'm fishing under my brolly, this fits nice under my bed, and I'm not pressing up against it when I lie onto my bed, unlike some bags which are quite high and they wouldn't fit under my bed, and there just wouldn't be enough room underneath the brolly. So that's my tackle bag. Next thing we're going to get into is a landing net and unhooking mat, and waistline possibly. So what landing net and unhooking mat do I use? So first off, the landing net, I use a Sonic Vader X 42-inch landing net. It's an amazing landing net. It's pretty cheap as well. It came in, I got it for 50 quid, and it's one of the best landing nets I've had. It's incredibly easy to put the arms in and out. Also, it's pretty rigid, whereas some landing nets on the market, you'll hold them out and they'll just flop like anything. I know the Nash Scope does, I've tried that before, but this Sonic Vader X is amazing. Say you're trying to land the fish, you've got your rod in one arm, you're landing net and know that you can lift it up with one arm. It's rigid, it won't flop about on you. It's not like a wet noodle, it means business. And I've just got that paired with a Fox float, which just goes onto the pole, just gives a bit of buoyancy in the water so your net doesn't sink all the way. For my unhooking mat, I use the Fox Easy Mat. It's an amazing mat because it's got really thick padding on the bottom to help protect the fish. If say you're on a pebbly like peg or something, those roots underneath, there's enough padding there so the fish doesn't feel, even if it flops about, it won't hurt itself. Also, it's got sides on it, which say you're on a slope, which is a lot where I fish, it stops the fish sliding off your unhooking mat, going onto the floor and injuring the fish. So there's a lot of safety built into it. It's an amazing landing net. It's even got like a little flap which you can fold over the top, and you can use that as just to put it on if you're trying to keep the fish still a bit. Or what I like to do is I un-velcro it and just kneel on it, saves getting all my knees dirty. So it's an amazing unhooking mat and landing net combo. The next thing we're going to go into is my cooking stuff and how I keep my food out of the cooler bag and that. Right, my cooking setup. This is going to be the good one. So I use for pots and pans, I use the Ridge Monkey. I think it's the original Ridge Monkey, it's quite old. I just use a little pot that I got from China. It's a quick boil pot, but to be honest, it's done me quite well. If you've seen in one of my past videos, if you watch me regularly, I did cook some sausages in it and burn them to the bottom, but the pan's still going strong and managed to come off. Then for my stove, I use a Tracker Armo, and it's one of the originals, so it is quite old, but it's still going strong. I've taken that apart a few times, give it a full deep clean just to make sure it lasts a little bit longer. For a kettle, I use a ESP kettle, I think it's 600ml with a little detachable handle in green. That just goes nice with my setup, and it just sits in my bag perfectly well, considering the handle comes off, there's nothing to break off, and it's just a cheap little kettle. I use the 5-litre Ridge Monkey for water storage. It has that little nozzle on it which is perfect for putting water into your pot and your kettle or even your cup without spilling it everywhere. I've got the little Fox windbreak, it's only the short one, it's not the tall one. That's ace for when it's windy, especially from underneath the brolly and there isn't much shelter. Just put that around my stove and it just keeps that little bit of extra heat retention and it helps my stuff boil faster. And then for my bag, which I keep all my food in, I've got a Tracker, I'm just looking at it now, it's just an old Tracker, the layered aren't they, so insulated. Tracker insulated bag. It was my dad's. It's got a rip in the top, a couple of pockets on the side, and a little pocket on the front. It keeps the food. I only go overnight, so it keeps all my food cold as long as I need. And for my utensils, I just use the Jet Boil. I think you get it in a set of 3. There's a spatula, a spoon, and a fork. Yeah, they're amazing, they're extendable, and they've lasted me a while. They don't seem to melt instantly when you put them onto like a frying pan or anything. They do if you keep them there, but anything would. And then I just have a little cheap optional pen knife, just to help, say, cutting sausages open, and just cutting butties and that, even cutting rigs and that. It's just handy to have. So the next thing, and the final thing we're going on to, is my camera setup. So we'll see you then. Right, camera gear. For lights and camera gear, for the lights I use a Sunblesser head torch. It's really bright, it's more than enough for brightness. It's got a really big surface area. The only downside is the battery life of it. It tends to die relatively quick, so if you've seen some of my videos, I tend to have it plugged into my power bank, which is a bummer, which gets in the way, so I'm planning on getting another head torch. And for taking a photo of the fish, the light I have a 96 LED photography light, which is rechargeable, that I got off eBay, and it's brilliant for trying to light the bank up when you're trying to take a photo of that brilliant smashing carp that you've caught out the lake in your PB. You want to get the shot just right. I use that 96 LED photography light. Then for stuff I actually video with, I use a Manifold compact tripod, which I'm recording with now. It's it's perfect for what I need. It's small, it's compact, it has a little handle on so I can adjust my shots. And then for microphone, I use just my phone microphone, to be honest. It's perfect. I'm planning on upgrading to a Rode microphone Micro, I think they're called. So you guys should have some better audio coming up soon. And for camera, I just use my phone. I've just got a standard iPhone X, and the camera, the quality is good enough for now, but one day in the future I will upgrade to a proper camera, because I've always loved to do a bit of photography, and yeah, it'd just be a nice upgrade to get photos, better photos of your fish, and yeah, I can't complain about that. Then one last thing, for my phone mount, it's just a standard phone mount which I got off eBay again. eBay has been the treasure trove for camera equipment, so if you need some, go and look on eBay. Unfortunately, that is the end of the video. That's all my carp setup and fishing equipment that I use when I go out onto the bank. And yeah, this video took a lot of effort to make, over 3 different days. If you couldn't tell, I got a different jumper on today. So if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button if you want to see more videos, and follow me on more of my fishing adventures. So unfortunately, this is Matt Catches signing out, and I'll see you in the next video.